Hey everyone, a very good morning, afternoon, evening to all of you. Welcome to the masterclass. We are going to continue from where we left off, roll-up summaries and formula fields. Roll-up summaries are applicable for only those objects which are tied together in a master detail relationship, and roll-ups are created on the master object, on the master side. So what is a roll-up basically? It's a type of a field. It's a summarizing field that allows you to aggregate or display the values from the related records on the master record. A very simple example of a roll-up summary is, if let's suppose a person or contact person has purchased multiple policies from SG Insurance and the business wants to see the count of the policies against a particular contact, a roll-up summary can be created on the contact object to meet this requirement. If I want to see all the coverage amounts, as in let's suppose a person has purchased 5 policies from SG Insurance, the summary of all the insurance coverages should be displayed on the contact record. Again, an example of a roll-up summary. If I want to see when was the first policy taken, so if there are 10 policies, 15 policies against a contact, if I want to see what's the first policy taken date, what's the last policy taken date, again, I can summarize on the master record, on the contact record. So that's the basic idea behind creating a roll-up. We're rolling up information on the master record, and it's only applicable for master detail relationship. So what we are going to do is we are going to perform a hands-on. First of all, we are going to create a roll-up on the contact object since it's the master object. We are going to count the number of policies by creating a roll-up summary field named as total policy count. Then we are going to create another roll-up summary to display the count of high coverage policy. For example, if there are 15 policies associated with the contact, if the coverage amount is greater than 1 million, then it is categorized as a high coverage policy. Then we are going to create another roll-up summary field in order to display the first policy taken date. As in, if there are 15 policies associated, which one was created first against the contact? A variation of this is, show me the policy which was taken last by this person, this contact person. So this is the hands-on activity, the challenge that we will be completing now in our developer org. So let's get started. If you've already logged in, please navigate to the object manager. So in Salesforce setup, click the gear icon, navigate to the setup page. Navigate to object manager. And in the quick find box, type in contact. Now we'll navigate to the contact object. In the contact object, navigate to fields and relationship. Fields and relationship is where we basically define the attributes, the fields, and the relationship between the data tables, between the objects. Now, since roll-up summary is again a type of field, we are going to click the new button. The data type of this field will be roll-up. Now, after selecting the data type, we'll move to the next step, step 2. And we'll specify the label name of the field. So the label name of the field is total policy count. An optional description stating the intended use of the field can also be specified along with the help text to be displayed to the end user. Then we move to the step 3 of 5, where now we are going to specify which object are we planning to summarize on contact. So the summarize object will obviously be the child object. In this case, we are summarizing policies since we are planning to display the total policy count. Now, there can be 4 types of roll-ups that you can define, and only one can be selected at a time. Let's suppose you are planning to count the records on the master object. The roll-up type would be count. if you're planning to summarize a field as an amount of the coverage, you're going to select the rollup type as sum. If you want to calculate the minimum value, the maximum value of a field on the child object and want to display it on the master object, you're going to select the type as minimum or maximum. Below it, there is filter criteria. Let's suppose you don't want to include all the policy records for summarizing on the master object. Let's suppose you want to put certain filters as in criterias on it, that hey, only those policies on which the coverage amount is greater than so and so, or less than so and so, or equals to so and so, those should be evaluated by the system when the rollup is calculated. So the filter criteria is going to specify whether all the records should be included in the calculation or only a subset of the records should be included in the calculation, depending on the criteria that you define. In this case, what should be the rollup type? It should be count. And there are no filter criteria. Basically, show me all the, the count of the policies against a contact. So summarize object is policies, rollup type is count. We'll move to step 4. Now the visibility of this field. The part of security, again, data security. This particular field is a read-only field. That means the system is calculating the value automatically. And that's why it's just a read-only field. You cannot edit the value of this rollup. Make this field visible to all the users in the system and move to the last step, where we are ensuring that the field rollup that we are creating, total policy count, is visible on all the contact layouts. Now, instead of clicking save, we will click save and new to define the other rollups. So again, step 1, we are selecting the data type as rollup summary. Move to step 2. The label name of this particular field is count of high coverage policy. Field label is count of high coverage policy. We'll move to step 3. The summarized object again would be policies. So the rollup type is count. Filter criteria. Select the second option. Only records meeting certain criteria should be included in the calculation. So the field that we're using for filtering the records is insurance coverage amount. So select the field as insurance coverage amount. Operator will be greater than, and the value is 1 million. Now again, visibility is defined for all the users in the system. So make this field visible to all. In step 5, we are ensuring that the field is visible on all the contact layouts. And again, we are hitting save and new. Again, the data type selected would be rollup summary. Step 2, we'll define the label name of the field. The label name of the field is first policy taken date. So when was the first policy issued? The first policy taken date is the rollup summary name. Summarized object in step 3 again is policies. And since we have selected the rollup type as minimum, No filter criterias on this rollup. Basically, include all the policy records in the calculation. Move to step 4. Again, make this visible to all. Step 5, ensure that it is added to all the layouts of contact and hit save and new. And the last one is last policy taken date. So this is pretty straightforward. The rollup type would be, so step 2, last policy taken date. Step 3, summarized object as policies. And now, since we want to display the last policy taken date, the rollup would be maximum, and the field to aggregate would again be the start date. So last policy taken date, the maximum value of the start date is going to define the last policy taken date. Move to step 4, again make this visible to all. Step 5, ensure that it is added to all the layouts of contact and hit save. So we have created all the rollups on the master object, contact object. So the last topic is formula fields. So formula fields, again, a type of field that can be created on an object. Now, formula fields are dynamically calculated. You're basically defining a logical expression by using functions, fields, operators, etc. A logical expression is defined, and on the basis of that, the field value is populated automatically. So again, it's a read-only field. An example of this is, let's suppose on policies, if I would like to present the contact email address. So policy is a record, right? Policy is a separate data table. So rather than creating a field on which the user can input the value, as in the email address of the contact person, let's suppose the business has requested that, hey, can you directly display the contact related attributes, for example, the contact, birth date, or let's suppose the email address of the person, etc., directly on the policy. So we are reducing the manual effort at the end of, at the end of the user, basically. So that's one example of a formula field, how we can define the logical expression based on which the value of the field would be automatically calculated by the system. Now, there are two types of formulas, basically. The simple formula wherein you define the logical expression, and then there is a cross-object formula. Cross-object means across the object, you're defining the expression to pull the information from the related object. Example of this is, again, if let's suppose from the contact level, you are planning to display certain values on the policy, then it's an example of a cross-object formula. Why? Because it's spanning across object. Now, this is an activity, a hands-on exercise that we are going to complete in order to understand formulas better. So first of all, there is a requirement to calculate the maturity date of the policy. And how is the maturity date calculated? The policy end date or maturity date is equals to the start date of the policy plus the period of coverage. So that's the end date or the maturity date of the policy. The next requirement is to display the contact email address and the date of birth on the policy record. So this is an example of a cross-object formula where you are displaying the customer as in the contact email address, the date of birth on the policy record, and you're reducing the manual effort at the end of the insurance agent. And the last one is to calculate the age of the customer as in the contact person based on the birth date. So again, we'll navigate to the object manager. The first one The first requirement is basically to calculate the end date of the policy. And that's why we are going to navigate to the policy object. So type in policy in the quick find box in the object manager and navigate to the policy object. Click on fields and relationship and click new. Select the data type as formula. So formula again is a read-only field. Click next. And now define the label name as policy end date. So the label name of the field is policy end date. And since you're creating a formula, the system is asking, hey, what should be the return type? As in, what should be the return outcome or the data type of the outcome that you're planning to present? As per the label name, since we want to display the end date of the policy, the return type of the formula should be what? Should be date. So select the return type as date, move to step 3, and click Advanced Formula. So formula, when you're defining the formula, this is the box where you define the logical expression. Again, you have to brainstorm on how you can define the logical expression so that you are able to, build the requirement as per the needs of the business. So there are a couple of functions defined that you can utilize. And again, if you'd like to know how the functions, can be used in Salesforce, you can navigate to this particular link, operators and functions. Then if you would like to reference a field in the logical expression, there is a button called insert field. If you'd like to use any sort of operators, add, subtract, multiply, divide, you're going to use this button, insert operator. So where you see policy end date, date equals to, click on the box, the formula box. And now we are going to define the formula. So the formula is start date plus insurance period. Start date is a date field and insurance period is a number field. I can explore the functions available in the list. There is one specific function that can be used in this case. And the function name is add months. So you're basically adding months to the date. So right inside where you see functions, click add months. You can also find the description of the function. Add the number months to the date using the last date of the month. If date is the last date of the month, or adding the number month, has fewer days. So basically, if you want to add, months to a particular date, this is the function that can be used out of the box. Click insert selected function. And now where you see date, double click on date so that it is highlighted. And now we will insert the field, which is policy start date. So after double clicking date, now we'll make a reference of the field by clicking this insert field button. Since policy and contact are related, you can drill down to the contact data table. You can also reference the field on the policy object. The field that we are going to select would be the start date of the policy. So select policy start date and click insert. So the API name of the field is now referenced in the formula. We are going to repeat the same steps for number, where you see number, double click on num and click insert field. And now we are going to select insurance period in months, the number field. Now this is the resultant formula. And how can I ensure that there are no errors in the syntax? There is a button below called check syntax. So as part of best practice, always ensure that you're clicking on this button check syntax to ensure there are no syntax errors. I'm pasting this formula in the chat. You can simply copy and paste. Now we'll move to the next by clicking next. Again, you can define the visibility of the field. So make this one visible to all. Click next. Step 5, ensure that it is added to the layout of policy. And click Save and New. So the second one is we want to display the customer email address. So again, the type of the field is formula field, which is a read-only field. Move to step 2, define the field label. So the field label is contact email. I can display the email address in the form of text. So select the return type of the formula as text. Click next after selecting the return type as text. And now in the advanced formula box, in order to reference the contact email from the contact object, we can use this button, insert field. So click insert field. From the child object policy, you can navigate to the parent object contact where you see greater than. Click on contact to drill down to the contact data table. Now from the related contact, you can display the email address of the contact person directly on the policy record. So click insert. Contact ___ R.
Wait.
So we'll click check syntax, even though I know the formula is correct, but always ensure that you're clicking this button, check syntax. I've pasted the formula in the chat. You can copy and paste. Click next. Make it visible to all. Click next and click save. Displaying the date of birth. This is an assignment, so you'll repeat the same steps. You'll navigate to the contact data table, as in on policy. When you click the new button, you're going to select formula. The return type would be date, and then you're going to click on insert field, and then you can reference the contact birth date so that it can be displayed on the policy record. The last one is calculating the age of the customer based on the birth date of the person. So this one will be created on which object? Will be created on the contact object. So click on the object manager and in the quick find box type in contact. We'll navigate to the contact object, navigate to fields and relationship, and click new. The data type again is formula. Click next, define the label name. So the field label is age. So the return type is number. Click next. And now let's define the logical expression. So how do we calculate the age? For example, birth date of the person. Right-hand side in functions, there is a today function that allows you to retrieve today's date. So just search for the function today. This again is alphabetically arranged. So just navigate to T and select today. So today minus birth date. Birth date again is the field on the contact object. So we'll click insert field. And then on contact, there is birth date that we can reference. The entire thing can be divided by 365 to calculate the age of the person. Click Next if you have defined the formula. Make this visible to all and ensure that it is added to all the layouts of contact. And now you can hit the Save button. And now it's time for us to validate in the Insurance Management tab. So left-hand side, click on the 9 dots, top left, and navigate to the Insurance Management tab. Rest of you, navigate to the Insurance Management tab. Let's validate the roll-ups and the formulas that we've created on policy and contact. So starting with the roll-ups on contact, I've navigated to the contact object, the contact tab basically. I'm navigating to my contact record because against my contact record in the system, there are multiple policies created. Then I'm navigating to details. Here I can find the roll-ups. So total policy count, there are 2 policies associated with Sona's contact. Are there any high coverage policies? The answer is no. The count of high coverage policy is 0. The first policy taken date is, 1/2/2024. Last policy taken date is the same date. Why? Because both the policies were created on the same day. And I can also validate by navigating to the related list. So yes, the count of policy is correct. The start date again is correct. So first policy taken date, last policy taken date again is the same. On contact, the formula. So there is an age formula that we've created. But before that, let's populate the birth date. So there you go. So once the birth date is populated, the age is automatically calculated by the system. Since it's a formula field, it's a read-only field that is being calculated by the system automatically based on the logical expression that you define. Now we'll navigate to policies. There are a couple of formulas that we've created on policy. So I'm opening any of the policy records. So contact email cross object formula that we've created right now is blank. Why? Because on the contact record, the email address is not populated. So I'm navigating to my contact record, adding email address, hitting the save button. And now on policy, when I refresh the tab, what I'm going to notice is the contact email is automatically populated. Why? Because it's a formula field. The end date of the policy is automatically calculated. The maturity date of the policy is the start date plus the insurance period in months. So after, 2 years, this is going to expire. All right, so now we are starting with the user interface customization masterclass agenda. So I'll quickly brief you about what we are going to cover as part of the session. So user interface customization is about enhancing the information, whatever data we are presenting, how we can enhance the overall look and feel of the data, the product. So what are record types, the relevance of record types, when do we introduce record types, what are page layouts, then how you can create custom list views, What are buttons, links, and actions? Again, part of layout customization. How you can create lightning pages in Salesforce. Again, point and click tool, Lightning App Builder is used. And then what are dynamic forms? How you can dynamically present information to the end customer. So these are the topics that we are going to cover as part of user interface customization. Now let's understand the scenario in order to understand record types and page layouts. So current state, AG Insurance Company is selling 4 different types of insurances, right? Home, motor vehicle, health, and life. And the information corresponding to the type of insurance that they are planning to sell can differ. For example, if they're planning to sell home, couple of attributes that are required to be populated by the insurance agent could be home zip code, area and square feet. If the person is selling motor vehicle, there can be other attributes. For example, motor vehicle registration number is required. If you're selling health, there are health related attributes. For example, do you have any existing disease, etc. For life, the parameters could differ. Current state, there are only 2 attributes, fields via which we are capturing the insurance type and subtype, as in what type of insurance are we selling and the subtype of the field, subtype of the insurance, as in within home, the subtype can be fire or theft. If it's motor vehicle, it could be regular, so on and so forth. Now the question is, if we continue using the same layout, and if we are planning to capture different information against different types of policies, would it make the process easier for the insurance agent or would it make it tedious? Are we introducing complexities? So current state, let's suppose if there are 50 attributes pertaining to home, another 20 for motor vehicle, another 30 that are related to health, and another 40 attributes which captures information about life. If I add all those attributes to the page layout of policy, imagine the time it is going to take for the insurance agent to scroll to the relevant fields so that they can capture the right information. And also there are possibilities that they might end up populating information which may not be required. For example, if they're selling health, they are populating information related to home, motor vehicle, or life, which does not make sense, right, from the business perspective. Now, to avoid these scenarios and to ensure that users are not entering data in other fields that do not make business sense, logical sense for that policy type, record types can be introduced to track the type of policy that we are selling. And within the record types, we tie a specific layout on which only relevant fields are to be displayed to the user. For example, there could be a record type dedicated for home insurance policy. And that record type can be tied to a home insurance page layout on which we are going to display all the relevant home insurance related fields. Some of the fields can be required, some of the other fields can be optional. And the same process can be followed for motor vehicle record type, health record type, and life record type, so on and so forth. So record types in Salesforce are introduced when you are planning to capture different attribute values, different information on the same data table. So it's the same policy data table, but we are planning to capture different information against the type of policies that the business is selling. In conjunction to record types, something called a page layout is also used. So let's suppose a user has selected the record type as home. You can create a dedicated home insurance record type page layout wherein you can display all the home insurance related fields. So page layout is going to control the visibility of the fields. You can make fields, non-editable, as in read only. You can make fields required on the page layout. Then you can control which related lists are visible, how the information is structured. For example, if two columns are presented or a single column is presented. You can also control the sections to be visible on the layout. So you can control which sections are to be displayed, which fields are to be presented in the section, which buttons are to be presented, which related list are we planning to showcase on the object layout. All of that is controlled via page layouts in Salesforce. So what we are going to do is, to understand this better, we are going to first of all remove the dependency and the insurance type field. Why? Because now it is redundant. It's not at all required. Reason is simple. We are introducing record types. So there is no need for an insurance type field. Insurance type was basically used for categorizing the type of insurance that we are planning to sell. Since record types will be introduced, that will act as the identifier. Now, a couple of fields that we'll be introducing, which would be record type specific. For example, if we are selling home insurance, there are two fields, home zip code and area in square feet, that we'll be adding to the home record type page layout. Then motor vehicle registration number is important, is required if we are creating a motor vehicle insurance policy. If we are selling health insurance, then there should be a required field as, do you have any existing disease? If you're selling life insurance, there is another required field called, do you consume alcohol? So first of all, we are going to introduce these fields on the policy object. Then we are going to create the layouts, the policy layouts, dedicated layouts for these types of policy. And then we'll introduce the record type and we'll tie the appropriate layout so that only the relevant fields are visible when a specific record type is selected by the end user. Now, record types in Salesforce not only gives you the ability to, to tie a dedicated page layout, it also gives you the ability to control the values of the pick list. For example, if you're selling home insurance, and in the subtype field, you don't want to display all the values of the subtype. Let's suppose you're only planning to display fire and theft if the record type selected is home. So out of the box, on record types, after the introduction of record types, the picklist values of the fields can also be controlled. Just like in field dependencies, we are controlling the values. The same ability is granted via record types. Please navigate to the object manager in Salesforce. In the quick find in object manager, type in policy and navigate to the policy object. Navigate to fields and relationship. So first of all, since insurance type is not required, we are going to delete the insurance type field. But before that, let's also delete the dependency between insurance type and subtype. So in fields and relationship, where you see field dependencies, please click on it and click the delete button to delete the dependency. Again, this is not required. It's not a required step. We're just removing it because now it's redundant. So click delete and delete the dependency. Navigate back to fields and relationship. And in the quick find in fields and relationship, type in insurance type. Type in insurance type. Right inside, there is a drop down that would allow you to delete the custom field. So click on the drop down and click delete. Now the system is showing you the considerations that, hey, you'll have the ability to restore this field within 15 days. Otherwise, it is going to be permanently deleted. Click delete. And now the field has been deleted, soft deleted. You can find the deleted field in this particular section called deleted fields. Now we'll introduce the new fields by clicking the new button. Click new. The first field is home zip code, and it's a text field. So select the data type as text. Select the data type as text and move to step 2. The label name of the field is home zip code. You can specify the length of the zip code as 10 for now. We'll move to step 3. And we'll make this field visible to all the users in the system. So make this field visible, move to the next step, step 4. And remove it from the layout of policy. Let's not add it to the default layout of policy. We are going to create the dedicated page layouts anyway. So we are going to manually, add the relevant fields to the layout. So deselect this checkbox policy layout, and then you can click save and new to create the remaining attributes. Next field is area in square feet. It's a number field. So you can select the data type number. Move to step 2. Define the label name of the field area. Area in square feet. Length is 6, decimal places is 0. Move to step 3. Make it visible to all, visible and editable to all the users in the system. Move to step 4 and deselect policy layout. And click save and new. The third attribute is motor vehicle registration number. So it can be a mix of alphabets and numbers. And that's why we're selecting the data type as text. Select the data type text. Move to the next step, step 2. Then specify the label name of the field as motor vehicle. Registration number. Length, let's specify 15. Moving to step 3, this step is going to remain as it is, as in you're defining the visibility and editability. So make it visible and editable. And move to step 4, where we are removing it from the default layout of policy. Click Save and New. Last two attributes. The second last attribute is a pick list. It could also be a checkbox. So select pick list, the single pick list as the data type. Click Next and specify the label name as do you have any existing disease? Question mark. And then we are going to enter values with each value separated by a new line. The values are yes, no, yes or no. Make this again visible, editable by all users in the system. Move to step 4 and deselect policy layout. And click Save and New to create the last attribute, which is do you consume alcohol? Which again is a pick list field, a single select pick list field. So the label name of this field is do you consume alcohol? And again, we are entering values with each value separated by a new line. The values are yes or no. So the field label is do you consume alcohol? Question mark. The values of this field are yes or no. Moving to step 3. Again, we are making this visible and editable by all the users in the system. Click Next. And again, deselect policy layout. And now you can save the final attribute, the final field. As part of this hands-on, we are only creating a couple of attributes. In a real world, if the use case is a real one, there can be n number of attributes corresponding to the type of policy that you are selling. Now, since we have created the fields, the next step would be to introduce the dedicated page layouts for the type of policy that you're selling. Home insurance policy layout, motor vehicle insurance policy layout, life insurance policy layout, so on and so forth. So what we are going to do is, below fields and relationship, there is an option to customize an existing layout of the policy and also to create custom layouts as per the needs of the business. So click on it. This one is the default layout of policy. So as I was mentioning, this is the default layout of policy. This is created by default as soon as the data table is created. You can customize the existing layout of policy. You can create new custom layouts by clicking this new button. You can change the assignment of the layouts. So we'll click on the new button. And now we can create the page layout from scratch, or we can use an existing policy page layout and then customize it and save it as a new version. So it's totally up to us. Do you want to create the layout from scratch, or do you want to use an existing layout, customize it, and then save it as a new one? So first of all, I'm going to specify the page layout name. So first layout I'm creating for the home insurance policy. So the label name of this would be home insurance policy layout. The name of the page layout is Home Insurance Policy Layout. And I'm using the existing policy layout instead of creating this layout from scratch. I'm going to customize the existing one and save it as a new one. Now, please note, even though I'm using an existing page layout, the existing one, the default one, will remain as it is. It's just used for, cloning purpose. So select the page layout as policy and click Save. Now, this is the interface of the layout builder. So left-hand side, you can navigate to fields. All the fields, standard, custom, you can customize whether the fields should be added to the layout, should not be added to the layout, should be removed from the layout. Any buttons, actions that you'd like to display. For example, on the layout of contact, the buttons that you see, the actions that you see, everything is controlled by the layout of the object. The related list that you're able to see. So if I click on related, opportunity related list, case related list. So all these related lists are also controlled by the layout of the object. So navigate to policy detail. So this is the details part where we see the information. Now, since I have used the existing policy default layout, all the required details that I see on the field are there as it is. Now I can customize this existing layout. For example, if I'm selling home insurance policy, there are two other required fields. The first one is home zip code. The second is area in square feet, right? So what I can do is I can drag home zip code. So click on it, drag it, place it where you see the green highlight. So you can place it anywhere on the screen. So it's up to you, up to the business, how they would like to structure the information. It's a 2-column layout, first column, second column. So you can also customize whether it should be a single column or double column layout. The sections to be presented, etc. can also be customized. So home zip code I've added. What's the next field? The next field is area in square feet. So again, we are dragging and then we are dropping it. Let's place it below home zip code. Now, as per the requirement, these two fields should be required when I'm selling home insurance policy, right? So can I make it required on the layout of the policy? The layout that I'm creating, custom layout? The answer is yes. If you hover over any of the fields, right inside, you'll see the wrench icon called properties. If you click on the wrench, the properties, you can make the field read only. You can make the field required. So current state, we are making it required on the layout of home insurance. Click OK. Repeating the same steps for area in square feet. So we'll click on properties, we'll click required, and we'll click OK. Once we make it required on the page layout, please note home zip code and area would only be required on this dedicated page layout when you are selling home insurance policy. It won't be required if you're selling motor vehicle or health or life. The red asterisk that you see specifies whether it's a required field. Contact is required by default and I cannot remove it from the page layout. So we have added home zip code area, the first layout, which is home insurance policy layout, is now configured. We can save this layout by clicking the save button. Let's create another layout for motor vehicle insurance policy. So click New. The layout name is Motor Vehicle Insurance Layout. And again, to save time, I am using the existing, that is the default layout of policy, which is policy layout. Click Save. And now we'll repeat the same steps. So if we are selling motor vehicle insurance policy, there is a required attribute, which is motor vehicle registration number. So drag motor vehicle registration number, place it where you see the green highlight, and again, mark it as required on the layout. So right inside, click Properties and make this field required. We'll hit Save. Then now, since we have introduced two layouts of the policy, motor vehicle and home insurance, let's also introduce two record types for home insurance and motor vehicle insurance policy so that these layouts can be tied. And when the user clicks on home insurance or on motor vehicle insurance policy, they are able to see the relevant fields in Salesforce. So left-hand side where you see record types, please click on it. Right now, there are no record types on policy. We'll introduce two in today's session. The remaining two will be created by you. So that's an assignment for all you folks. Click New. Now we'll specify the label name of the record type. So the label name of the first one is home insurance. You can add an optional description. Select this if you are planning to sell home insurance policy. For the record type to be accessible by users in the system, it should be active. So ensure the active checkbox is true. And then you can also control the access. Whether you want this record type to be accessible by all the users in the system or a subset of users in the system. So again, this is where data security comes into the picture. Let's suppose there are dedicated departments within insurance company. Within HG insurance company, there are dedicated departments for home, health, motor vehicle, life. And there are dedicated folks who are responsible for selling each type of policy. For example, if someone is responsible for selling home insurance, they should not have access to health insurance record type. Someone who is selling health insurance should not have access to motor vehicle insurance record type, etc. So if that's the business use case, you can control the visibility, the access of the records from here. In this case, we are making this record type accessible by all the users in the system. So ensure that this is available. This particular checkbox is true. Scroll to the bottom of page, click Next. And now you can tie the record type to the layout to the record type by clicking this button. Since we are creating a dedicated record type for home insurance and there is a page layout that we have created, we are going to select home insurance policy layout. And this layout would apply to all the users in the system, all the profile users in the system. If in case the business would like to present different layouts, so keep the selection, apply one layout to all profiles, home insurance policy layout, and click Save and New to create the second record type for motor vehicle insurance. Again, an optional description can be added. So select this if you're planning to sell motor vehicle insurance policy. Again, we'll mark it active to ensure this is accessible by users in the system. And make this available to all the users in the system. You can also make a specific record type default, as in when they click the new button, the default record type would be selected. Move to next step and select the layout as motor vehicle insurance layout. And now you can hit the save button. The next requirement is, depending on the type of record selected by the user, specific subtypes should be available for selection. For example, if the person is trying to sell home insurance, the subtype should only be fire or theft. If they're selling motor vehicles, the subtype could be single premium or regular. If they are selling health, the subtype could be regular, single premium. For life, it could be term plan, regular, single premium, unit link, etc. Okay, so in home, if you're selling home, the subtype should be fire and theft. So navigate back to record type and click home insurance. Now we can edit the values which should be available in the pick list. So in the subtype pick list where you see edit, click on the edit button. Current state, all the values of the subtype will be visible if the user clicks on the home insurance record type. So first of all, I'm removing all the values, and I'm only adding fire and theft, the appropriate two values, to the list. You can also specify if a particular value should be the default value selected. You can also specify the default value on the record type. Click Save. And now let's navigate to motor vehicle insurance. And we'll repeat the same steps. We'll navigate to subtype. We'll click the edit button. So if the record type selected is motor vehicle, the subtype is single premium or regular. Click Save. And now you can validate this by navigating to the Insurance Management app. So in the Insurance Management app, we've navigated to Policies. Ensure that you've refreshed the tab before hitting the new button. When I hit the new button, there are two record types introduced. Select a record type home insurance or motor vehicle insurance. And the description is also added. So let's suppose if the insurance agent is selling home insurance, the person would be required to specify the home zip code, the area, and the other details are optional. So this is the page layout of home insurance policy. Also, the subtype available for selection is only fire or theft if you're selling home insurance policy. Another agent from motor vehicle insurance department should only have visibility to this record type. They can select motor vehicle insurance. When they click next, they are going to see a different layout. So motor vehicle registration number is required. The subtype is limited to single premium or regular, and the other details are optional on creation of the policy. So it's the same data table, policy data table, in which we are tracking different attribute values depending on the type of insurance that we are planning to sell. Now, this is how we define whether we should introduce record types, when to use record types and when not to use record types. So record types, as mentioned, will be introduced when you're planning to track different type of data, different information on the same object, same data table. The example that we've already seen. Policy, the same data table, 4 different types of insurance, and pertaining to the insurance type, different information needs to be tracked. When not to use a record type, if you're planning to track unrelated information, for example, account and order data. Then if you're planning to display different picklist values or the type of the record, so another business use case, then a record type can be introduced. If you're planning to control the page layout, visibility, then the record type can be introduced. If you want all the users in the system to see similar set of information, avoid using record types. For example, on all the 4 record types, if I tie the same layout, obviously this is redundant. There's no need for the record types in the first place. So only introduce record types if you want to present different information, different page layouts to the users in the system. Next, what we are going to start with is search, how we can perform search, different types of searches in Salesforce, how we can create custom list views, and what's a Kanban view. All right, so now we'll get started with searches, list views, and Kanban. So there are 2 types of searches that you can perform in Salesforce basically. The first one is the global search that allows you to globally search records in Salesforce. So if you navigate to any application, pages, on top there is a global search bar that allows you to globally search for any records in the system which are searchable. So if you remember, when we were creating the custom object, there was an option allow search, right? That we enabled. So only if you have enabled that particular setting, the object records would be searchable in the global search bar. As soon as you type in the keyword, for example, if I type in my name, SON, the system is going to show me all the relevant, search options. So there's Sonadhar, contact, there is a policy holder, named as Sona, and then so on and so forth. Then you can also refine the searches that, hey, show me accounts which start with this keyword. Show me contacts that start with these keywords. And then if you navigate to the searches, navigate on any of the records, you can basically analyze the record. Now, one of the things in regards to the search performed via global search bar is that based on the data access of the user, only the items, the records which are accessible by the user would be displayed by Salesforce. So the system is smart enough to read the data access level, and depending on the data access level, the relevant searches are displayed. For example, if someone does not have access to this contact record, the same would not be displayed on the search bar. The next type of search is called lookup search. For example, if I navigate to a contact, open any of the existing contact records, if there's a relationship defined, I can basically specify that, hey, this contact is tied to so-and-so account. So this is the form of lookup search where we are looking up to the related record for information. I can choose an existing record or I can create a new record directly from the search bar. And then again, this is respecting data security in Salesforce. If you don't have access to something, the same would not be displayed. Next, the list views. So list view is basically how the records are presented. So when we navigate to any of the tabs, standard, custom, let's take the example of policy. So let's suppose we are navigating to policy. Left-hand side, there is an option to select the list. So there are a couple of predefined lists which are standard list. If you are planning to create a custom list, there is an option available. So right inside, there is a gear icon called list view control that gives you the ability to create new list views. So basically how you would like to view the list of records is controlled by the list view. So filtered set of records needs to be presented. You would like to add a graph, a chart to it. The fields that you'd like to present in the, in the search, etc., would be controlled by the list view. For example, along with policy number, let's suppose I want to see the status of the policy, the start date of the policy, the owner of the policy, etc. Those fields can also be displayed when I navigate to a specific list. For example, if I want to display all the home insurance policy, I can create a custom list by navigating to the policies tab. Right inside where we see list view controls, I can click on this button new to create a custom list view. And then we can create the list view by defining the name of the list. For example, home insurance policies is the custom list in which we are only going to display home insurance policy records. The list name can be specified. You can also, specify whether this list view should be accessible by all the users in the system, should be, accessible by you, or do you want to share it with specific users, as in the group of users. So current state, let's share it with all the users in the system. Click Save. And now, right inside, you can add filters to the list view. So the first filter is defined by default. You can edit it. So filter by owner. Let's say all policies. Then another filter to filter out the set of records that, hey, only show me those policies in the system on which the type of record. So where you see field, type in record type. The record type of the record is home insurance. So if I want to present filtered set of records, as in when the user navigates to home insurance policy list view, when they click on this list view, only home insurance policy records should be presented. And that's why we are adding a filter to this list view. Record type is equals home insurance. In order to create the new list, you navigate to list view control, click the new button, define the name as home insurance policies. For sharing, select all, click save. And now right hand side, you can specify the filters. The first filter is filter by owner, all policies in the system. And since we want to present only home insurance policy, we are going to filter by the record type. So record type, if it's equal home insurance, click save. Now the list view will be updated. Hey, there is only one policy in the system on which the record type is home. A chart can also be added to the list view for visual, visual representation. Then we can also add fields to the list. So if you click on list view controls again, you can clone this list, you can rename this list, you can change the sharing settings of the list, you can edit the filters, and you can also specify which fields should be displayed on this list view. So click on this option. And now you can select the relevant fields that should be displayed so that at a glance, the user is able to see that, hey, if this is PO003, this is created for which person, contact person. So I can add contact. This is a relevant field. Then the created by, who is the owner of this policy. The coverage amount, another important field. So basically, depending on the needs of the business, the fields that they would like to see on the list would be added to this particular box, visible fields. And when you click save, this is the updated list view that you're going to see that, hey, PO003 is created for Sona, created by so-and-so person, and the coverage amount of this policy is so-and-so. Next, let's create another list on account. So the next requirement is the business would like to see all the accounts on which the annual revenue is greater than 100K. And the type of the account is direct customer. So we'll repeat the same steps. We'll navigate to the account tab. Right inside where you see the gear icon, click on it, list view controls. We'll hit the new button and we'll define the list name. The name of this list can be high value accounts. The name of the list is high value accounts. Again, this would specify security as in, do you want this list to be visible by you, any other user in the system, all the users in the system, or a subset of users? So we are making this particular list current state visible to all the users in the system. Click save. And now you can apply filters to the list. For example, the very first filter is by ownership, all the accounts, show me all the accounts. And on top of that, add filter. So what's the first filter? The annual revenue. So there's a field called annual revenue on the account object. So in field, we select annual revenue. If it is greater than, and the value, which is 100K. There's one more filter. So we can click on add filter again. The type of the account. So there's a type field that you can select as the filter criteria. If the type is equals customer direct. So a high value account is categorized as annual revenue greater than 100K and the type of the account is direct customer. You can also specify filter logic as in both the criteria should be met or either of the criteria should be met, and logic or all logic. And when you click save, the list is going to show you the updated set of records which are filtered based on these filter criteria. And again, you can customize which fields should be presented on the list view. So if you click the list view controls again, you can customize the fields to display on this list by clicking this button, select fields to display. So account site is not relevant, billing state, province, again, not relevant. What is relevant is account name, account type, then annual revenue. You can also add industry of the account and ownership. So the relevant fields can be added to the list view so that at a glance, the business team, the end users can see that, hey, if it's a Burlington Corp of America, if they navigate to this list, high value accounts, first of all, they can see all the high value accounts in the system on which the annual revenue is greater than 100K. And also the type of the account is direct, customer direct. And then they can see other relevant details. Hey, which industry are they from? The ownership of the accounts, etc. So this current state, what we are looking at, the information is presented in a tabular form. In the form of table, we can see the records. Let's suppose you want to see the records in a different display format. So right off list view controls, there is select list display, which allows you to customize how the records are presented. Whether it should be presented in the form of table, tabular format, whether you want to see the visual representation of the data, or whether you'd like to see a split view. So tabular, this is pretty straightforward. Let's see what happens when you click Kanban. So Kanban is the visual representation where you can summarize the records, basically see that, hey, under buckets, the records are categorized. For example, if you want to summarize by the annual revenue, which is one of the fields, and group by another field, for example, industry. This is the visual representation of the records. So there are different industries, apparel, agriculture, banking, biotechnology, etc. And then the annual revenue is the summarized field, and then there is only one record. For electronics, there is one account in the system called Edge Communication, and this is the revenue. For energy sector, there is United Oil and Gas Corp, and so on and so forth. So this is the visual representation of the list, which is also called Kanban. Then split view. Let's click on split view to see what's the difference between split view and tabular. So split view, as the name suggests, it's a split of the information. Left-hand side, you see the records. And one by one, you can open the records right-hand side. So it's similar to the console-based navigation, but it does not give you the ability to work on multiple records at once. Why it's a split view? Because you've split the view basically between the records available and the records that you are currently working on. So click on table again. And this is the customized list. Now you can also pin the list as in the list which is frequently accessed by you as the user. For example, I'm someone from the insurance department folk. In fact, I'm someone from the home insurance department, and I regularly work with home insurance policy. So what I can do is I can navigate to home insurance policy and I can pin this list so that if I navigate to a different tab and navigate back to the policy tab, the same pinned list view is accessible by me in the system. So this is pinning of the list view. In order to pin a different list view, you navigate to the list and then click on the pin button again. The next thing that we are going to discuss is the buttons and the actions that you see. So if you navigate to any of the tabs, there are certain buttons and actions available, new, import, and then when you click on the record, there are different buttons and actions. For example, you can create a new contact, you can edit this, you can create a new opportunity, so on and so forth. So let's try to understand what is a button, what is an action, where do we use these in Salesforce. So starting with a button is basically used for accessing external websites or links or launching custom links. For example, if I navigate to contact, if the business requirement is that, hey, directly from contact, there should be a button that would allow us to perform a search on Google. That is the requirement of creation of a custom button. So the button again can be of two types: standard, something which is available out of the box, and custom, something that you build on your own. For example, submit for approval is a button which is available out of the box that allows you to submit the records in an approval process. Actions, on the other hand, allows you to quickly create and update records in Salesforce. For example, if you want to reduce the manual efforts at the end of the insurance agent, and you want to give them the flexibility to directly create a policy against the contact without navigating to the policies tab, you can create an action. So again, it will be in the form of a button. You click on it and a new page would appear only with few required attributes. A policy will be created against this contact. So an action allows you to quickly create or to update the records in Salesforce. And again, there are two types of actions. One, which is object specific as in tied to the object, directly performed from the object record. And the second one, the other one is global as in globally present. No matter where you are in Salesforce, if you are in this Salesforce setup page or in any of the applications, on top right hand side, there is a plus button. If you click on it, you can quickly create a new opportunity. You can quickly create a new case, a new lead, a new policy, new contact, etc. So that's why we call it global. Why? Because it's globally present, can be accessed from anywhere in Salesforce. So what we are going to do is, we are going to, first of all, introduce a button on account that will allow the end users to perform a search on Google. Basically, what we are searching for is the account name. So this button is a custom button that we are introducing on account. On click of the button search account, a search will be performed on the account name. The next requirement is on contact. We are giving the users the ability to quickly create a policy against the contact, again by clicking that action button. Now again, we'll navigate to the object manager because the configuration part of the buttons and actions resides in the object manager within the object. So navigate to object manager. In the quick find box, first type in account and navigate to the account object. Now below lightning record pages where you see buttons, links, and actions, please click on it. Now these are the standard buttons, actions, which are available out of the box. You can, override these buttons, or you can create a new action, new button or link by hitting these two buttons. So first of all, we are introducing a button. So let's click on new button or link. We'll specify the label name. So the label name is search account. Now there are three types of buttons that you can create. First of all, you can add a link to the page. You can add a button to the page of the object. And you can also add a list button. List button is something that you see on the related list. For example, these. So you select the display type of the button. We are going to select detail page button. An optional description can also be added. You specify the behavior as in when the button is clicked by the user, whether we are displaying it in a new window or we are displaying it in existing window with the sidebar, so on and so forth. And then since we are creating a button, you have to specify the content of the button, as in the source, the script. So it could be a URL, could be a JavaScript, and could be a Visualforce page. Other two are not relevant for you as a Salesforce admin. So keep the content source as URL. And now we will type in the search that needs to be performed, which is google.com, search the name of the account. Please paste this in the content source. And where you see equals to, what you can do is, since we want to perform the search on Google and we want to search the account name, you can also use a field on the account object by clicking this button called Insert Merge Field. When you click on it, the second option is account name that you can select. So this is what the resultant URL should look like. So when the user clicks on this button search account, they'll be redirected to Google and a search will be performed. So after creating this button, click Save. And now, in order to display this button on the layout, it needs to be added to the page layout of account. So after creating this button, we'll navigate to page layout, the third option, left-hand side, and the current assignment of the layout is account. So there are a couple of default layouts created out of the box. The current one, which we can see on screen, is the account layout. So we'll navigate to this one, the last one. And in order to add this to the page layout, we'll click on Mobile and Lightning Actions because we are working in the Lightning interface. And right inside, you're going to find this button called Search Account that you can place to the section called Salesforce Mobile and Lightning Experience Actions. So drag it and drop it. I am placing it before post and click Save. Now this has been added to the layout of the account and you can validate this as the end user by navigating to the Insurance Management app. So I've navigated to the Insurance Management app, navigate to accounts, open any of the existing account records that you can see in the list view. You can select the list view as all. You can also find the recently accessed records and recently viewed standard list. And now, since we've added a custom button, you can see the same button added to the layout of account called Search Account. If you click on it, it will redirect you to google.com and a search would be performed. And what are we searching for? We are searching for the account name. Next is creation of an action. So this is an example of a custom button. This is the detail page button that we've added. We could have also added, a detail page link that would appear as a link. When we click on it, we'll be redirected to an external website. Now, what is an action? Action, as mentioned, is something that allows us to quickly create and update records. We'll take the same example. Directly from contact, if I want to create a new policy with only few details. So an object-specific action can be introduced on the contact object. Let's take a look at this by navigating again to Salesforce Setup. We'll click on Object Manager. And in the quick find box now, we are going to type contact. So type contact. On the contact object, we are going to navigate to buttons, links, and actions. And now, since we are creating an action, an object-specific action, we are going to hit this button, New Action. So you can specify the action type. Are you planning to create a new record? Are you planning to update an existing record? Are you planning to send an email? Are you planning to log a call? Are you planning to, open a custom VF page, Visualforce page, etc.? So the action type here would be create a record. Why? Because we are planning to create a policy record directly from the contact. Now, which object record are we planning to create will be the target object. So in target object, I can select policy. And now, since we've introduced policy record types, the system is asking me, hey, which specific insurance policy are we planning to create, whether it should be home insurance or motor vehicle insurance. So you can select the appropriate record type. The label name of the button is defined, home insurance, and the API name would auto-populate. You can also type in a success message. So as soon as the record is created against the contact, a success message would be displayed to the user. So again, optional. Click Save. And now we'll configure the layout to be displayed on this action. So since it's a quick action, contact is already added by default. Now you can add the required details as in home zip code, then area in square feet, and then start date of the policy. That's all. Let's suppose, since this is a quick action, allows us to quickly create policy record against a contact. I'm just adding few of the required details, for example, home zip code, area in square feet, and again, I can make it required. Since these two are required, if we are selling home insurance policy, let's also make it required on the action layout. We will hit the save button. And again, we'll repeat the same steps that, hey, if this action needs to be visible on the layout of contact, we have to add it manually by navigating to page layouts. So after creating the action, navigate to page layout. The assigned layout of contact is the last one, the contact layout, the fourth one. Click on it. Now we'll repeat the same steps. We'll click on mobile and lightning action. And now you can add the home insurance quick action to Salesforce mobile and lightning experience actions. Click save. And now you can navigate back to the insurance management app, refresh the tab. And now on any of the contact records, if you open any of the contacts in the contacts tab, on the layout, you're going to find the quick action that would allow you to quickly create a record of policy directly from the contact. So if let's suppose I need to create a home insurance policy for my contact in the system, this is the layout that will be displayed, and quickly a policy will be created that can be updated at a later point of time. And that's why we call it a quick action. So this is an example of an object specific action. Why? Because this is invoked from the object. It's tied to the object record. If let's suppose you want to create a global action which should be presented here globally, again, the steps would be the same. We'll navigate to Salesforce setup. In the quick find box, you can type in global, and then you can create a global action by hitting this new action button. The steps would be the same. You define the action type, target object, label, etc. And then you add the relevant fields to the layout so that quickly a record can be created from anywhere in Salesforce. All right, moving on. Couple of other tools for customizing the Lightning experience. App Launcher, we've already discussed. So App Launcher is the tool via which users can switch between different applications in Salesforce. The 9 dots top left is the App Launcher. Then you can modify which applications are accessible, in which order are they accessible. For example, current state, I cannot see insurance management even though I'm an insurance agent, let's suppose. So what I can do is I can click on view all, and then I can change the placement of the application. So insurance management on top. Now when I click on the 9 dots left hand side, insurance management would be visible on top. App Manager is the place where you manage all the applications. Again, we have already covered this part. App Manager in Salesforce can be accessed from Salesforce setup. It's the place where you can manage all your applications, standard or custom. You can create custom applications. You can customize the standard ones, change the navigation items in the applications. Themes and branding. So theme is what you basically see when you navigate to Salesforce. The blue theme is currently what has been enabled in our org. And you can also create custom themes of your own. So in Salesforce setup, in the quick find box, if you type in themes, you can basically customize the branding of your Salesforce org. So these are the standard themes that you can enable, disable, and you can create a new theme for your Salesforce org. So let's suppose this customer has requested you to customize the Salesforce org. You can click on new theme. You can specify the theme name. You can also add the company logo for branding purpose. Then you can obviously change the colors, the hex colors, etc., background, etc. And then you can save this theme. The theme that you're saving would be applicable to all the users. So it's an org-wide theme that you are enabling. Please note. Next is in-app guidance. So what is in-app guidance? As the name suggests, within the application, you're creating certain prompts, certain walkthroughs to guide the users so that they are able to understand the platform better in order to increase the adoption of the feature. For example, if let's suppose you're rolling out Salesforce, for the first time for insurance agent, they are not aware of the application navigation. So as a Salesforce admin, you can create in-app guidances that will provide step-by-step walkthrough of the features, as in how they can access the application, what they can do within the application. The guidance can be in the form of prompts. Prompts is something that you can see, right inside, top right, bottom right. Hey, this is the new feature. And walkthroughs are dedicated walkthroughs, as in step by step, the system is going to show them that, hey, this is accounts. Within accounts, you can create the new account by clicking this button, so on and so forth. The most important part is of user interface customization is creation and management of Lightning pages. So Lightning page is anything that you see when you navigate to the application. For example, the records that we open, how we see the information presented, the components that we see on screen are controlled by the Lightning page. Since we are working in the Lightning interface, the page is called Lightning page. For example, right inside, we see a component called activity that will help the end user to track any sort of activities. For example, if they want to send an email, they want to log a call, they want to use Chatter for collaboration. Then the two tabs that they are able to see, the placement of these two tabs, related left-hand side, details right-hand side. Then in related, the related list links. Then on top, the highlights pane, which is highlighting the key information against the record. So all of this is controlled by the Lightning page in Salesforce. So this is an example of record Lightning page, since it's related to a record. Another type of page is the home page. So if I type in home, this is the home page wherein, different components, standard or custom, can be added. And at a glance, the users can basically see all the required details that, hey, this is how we are performing, in this quarter. This is the dashboard, the sales dashboard. These are the leads in the pipeline. These are the opportunities that we are planning to close in a particular quarter. Today's tasks, today's events, opportunities, etc. So different types of pages can be created. Lightning pages can be created by using a tool called Lightning App Builder. And again, this is point and click. Now there's a question asked, how is it different from page layout? So page layout in Salesforce only controls the details part of the record. So if you navigate to details, page layout is solely controlling the fields that you can see in the details part of the record and which related list you can see. Lightning page, on the other hand, controls the overall structure of the information and of the components. So as in, if I have to move this to the left-hand side and place the details part to right-hand side and basically enhance, the overall look and feel of the product, that would be controlled by the Lightning page, which we can manage with the help of the Lightning App Builder. I hope this answers your question. What's the difference between the page layout and the Lightning page? You can think of page layout as the subset of the Lightning page. So now what we are going to do is, let's explore the Lightning App Builder by navigating to Salesforce Setup. In the quick find box, type in Lightning App Builder. And open the interface of the Lightning App Builder by clicking this new button. So again, this is point and click, pretty straightforward standard. There are three different types of pages that you can create. Application page, as in a dedicated application page where you can display all the relevant information. For example, there could be a dedicated insurance management homepage where you can display a dashboard which is relevant for the insurance of agents, managers, supervisors, etc. Then you can display the list view, which is insurance policy related, then so on and so forth. So dedicated applications that should be visible on the dedicated app can be created within the Lightning App Builder. Then home page is what we are looking at. So home page is the home page that will be accessible via any of the applications this tab is part of. Then record page is the dedicated page of the record. So if I navigate to any of the object records, the page that I see, the Lightning page that I see, can be customized by navigating to the Lightning App Builder. And I can also create a new record page from scratch. The other two types are not relevant, are service Service Cloud related. So we'll solely focus on these 3 dedicated application pages. So we'll start with the home page configuration. Click on home page and click next. Specify the label name as SG Insurance home page. Let's suppose the business has requested for a dedicated SG Insurance home page. Click next. Now you can select the template that should be used, whether you would like to present information in 3 different regions with one header, or one region, or a standard home page needs to be created, or you can also clone from an existing home page in Salesforce. So you can clone an existing Salesforce default page, customize it, and save it as a new version. What we are going to do is we are going to create the page from scratch, select the standard template, and click done. Now this is the interface of the Lightning App Builder. Left hand side, there is component library from which you can basically select, drag and drop the components. These are the standard components available out of the box. And if let's suppose the requirement of the business is not met through standard means, you can explore the components in App Exchange, which is the marketplace of Salesforce. If there are developers in-house, they can also build custom components that can be added to the Lightning page. For example, the first component that we would like to present, since there are no dashboards created in the system, I cannot add the dashboard component. So what I'm going to do is, for the purpose of demonstration, I'm going to add the performance component. So left-hand side, where you see performance, just drag it and drop it, place it in the first section. Right inside, the visibility of the component can also be controlled. For example, if this particular component should not be visible by, let's suppose, sales profile, let's suppose service profile users in the system. So I can add a filter to control the visibility of the component as well. Couple of more components that we are going to add to this home page. First is a rich text component. So rich text is where you would like to, present images, put an external website link, URL, etc. You can use a rich text component for that purpose. So left-hand side where you see the search bar, you can type in rich text. Again, drag and drop, place it in any of the component section where you see the green highlight. And now since it's a rich text component, you can right hand side, you can specify the source as in what you would like to present in this particular section. For example, if I would want the user to navigate to be redirected to login.salesforce.com, I can type in login.salesforce.com in this bar. And when the user clicks on this particular URL, they'll be redirected to the login page of Salesforce. Components that we are going to add to the home page are recent items, as in the recently accessed items by the users. So dragging and dropping, placing it left-hand side. Right-hand side, I can specify the label of this component. I can select the object. Instead of the object selected as API, click on select, remove it from the selected list and add accounts to the list. Then today's events, as in if there are any sort of meetings planned for today. In the home page, I can see the details of the events if today's events has been added as one of the components. So again, type in today's events and drag and drop, place it in the middle. You can also add today's task, any sort of task, to-do list that we're supposed to complete. Now we can save this particular page and make this available, accessible by all the users in the system, or we can specify a more specific arrangement, as in on insurance management app, only the insurance agent from the insurance agent profile should be able to see this dedicated home page, home lightning page. So top right where you see save, click on it. And now, in order to make this page visible, we have to activate the page and we have to specify the assignment of the page. And there are 3 levels at which you can assign the lightning page. The org level, which means all the users in the system, when they navigate to the home tab, this is the page that they are going to see. So that's the first level. The second level is more specific, where you specify that, hey, only on a dedicated application, if there's a home tab added and the users navigate to the home tab, this is the lightning page that they should see. And the third one is more granular. Why? Because now you're specifying a combination of the application and the profile, that, hey, on insurance management app, if someone from insurance agent profile navigates to the home tab, this is the page that they are going to see. So that's the third level of assignment. The third level of assignment, since it's more granular and specific, this one is going to override the second and the first one. So current state, we are assigning it as all default, making it accessible by all the users in the system. Click save. And after successful activation, you can navigate back in the insurance management tab. If the home tab is open, you can navigate to the home tab, refresh the window. Specifically login.salesforce.com. If I click on it, I'll be redirected to the login page of Salesforce. Then today's task, if there were any task, planned for today, I would be able to see it in the home page. Any sort of events, as in meetings, again, I can see those details directly from the home page. Left hand side, recently accessed account records, etc. So this is how we customize the lightning page. We can create a new page from scratch. We can customize the existing ones as well. Next is record page. So we are not creating any application page. Application page creation is again pretty much the same. You select application page, you specify the components. Let's take a look at record pages, because record page customization is more important and is different from home page configuration. So current state, the policy lightning page looks like this, right? Activity left hand side, then there is related details. So instead of creating a new lightning page from scratch, let's customize this existing page. So if you want to customize the existing record page of an object, for example, policy, what you'll do is you'll navigate to the tab, open any of the existing records, and now top right where you see the gear icon, you click on the gear icon, and there is an option to edit the lightning page. Again, it will redirect you to the Lightning App Builder. And now instead of creating the page from scratch, I can customize and save the changes. Now current state, we can see related, placed before details, right? So what we'll do is we'll place details, first and related after the details tab. In order to do so, first of all, click on the component and right hand side, you'll see the tabs. So related and details are the two tabs added to the Lightning page. Now you can drag and drop, place details left of the related tab. And also you can specify which particular tab should be the default tab. As in, when the user navigates to the policy record, which one should be open by default. So this is what is going to control the default tab visibility. Now we'll add one more tab to the list by clicking this button, Add Tab. Instead of details, you can click on details and you can change the tab name. For example, if we want to showcase, present the activities or any sort of documents, let's add activities. So the tab label is activities. So details, related and activities. Now within activities, let's place the activity component. So click on the tab activities where you see add component. You can drag and drop the activities component and place it in this particular tab, right of related. Now, since we have already added activities as part of the activities tab, let's remove this particular component. So where you see delete, just remove this component. That's all. Let's keep this blank. There are no other standard components that make sense to be added to the page. So click Save and click Activate in order to specify the assignment, whether it should be at the org level, app level, or should be a combination of app, record type, and profile. So if you're assigning it as org default, it will be visible to all the users in the system. And you can also specify the available form factors, whether if Salesforce is accessed via desktop or phone, whether this should be the org default page. So for different form factors, you can create different Lightning pages, Lightning record pages in Salesforce. Click Next and click Save. After saving the changes, navigate back to Policies. And now Activities is placed right of related. Then we can see the activity component within the Activities tab. Details is now placed left of related, and we can see all the detail information in the Details tab. And related remains as it is. The related records are presented within the related tab. So this is how we can customize an existing Lightning record page. So dynamic forms is part of the Lightning pages. Think of it as a way to dynamically present information which is available in the details section. So when I navigate to the details tab, the detail part that I see can be dynamically controlled by using dynamic forms in Salesforce. For example, if let's suppose I want this particular field to be visible, surrender date, only when the status of the policy has been moved to surrendered. So only when the status of the field has been moved to surrendered, this field should be visible on the layout. How can I achieve this? I can achieve this by using a dynamic form. A dynamic form would allow me to dynamically present the information based on the criteria that I define. I can put dynamic conditions on the fields on the attribute level, and I can also control the section-wise visibility. For example, let's take the example of cases. So case is a standard object which is used for tracking support related request, right? I've navigated to a case record. As you can see, the difference in the lightning record page. This particular lightning page is configured differently if I compare it with the account contact policy lightning record pages. The detail of the record is placed right inside. So right inside, we see the details of the record. Left inside, we see feed, as in the chatter feed, and the related records. Now, the business requirement is that, hey, if the case origin, the origination of the case is website, only then the web related information, for example, web email, web company, web name, web phone, these four fields should only be visible if the case origin is website. If the case origin is phone, these fields should not be visible on the layout of the case. So in order to meet this requirement, again, we can create a dynamic form. We can update the lightning page to a dynamic form. Dynamic related list was recently introduced in one of the releases of Salesforce. So dynamic related list means you're dynamically presenting the related information on the record based on criteria. In order to understand this better, let's perform a hands-on. So the requirement is on policy holder, there should be a field, first of all, called relationship with primary holder. The values of this field would be mother, father, sibling, spouse, child, legal guardian, others, etc. And this field should only be visible if is primary is unchecked. So if the holder is not the primary holder of the policy, let's take the example of this policy holder. So Sona's dad is not the primary holder of the policy, is the secondary holder. Only when is primary is unchecked, the holder is secondary holder of the policy. This field relationship with primary holder should be visible on the page layout. It should be visible, and the user can input whether the secondary holder is, what's the relationship of the secondary holder with the main holder of the policy, primary holder of the policy. So let's build this in Salesforce by navigating to the policy holder object. But before that, we'll introduce the field because current state, there is no field called relationship with primary holder. So the prerequisite is to first create the field, and then we can update the lightning page to a dynamic form. So we'll navigate to the object manager in Salesforce setup. In the quick find, we will type in policy holder. Navigate to the policy holder object and click on fields and relationship. Now click on the new button to introduce a new Picklist field called relationship with primary holder. The data type is Picklist and it's a single select Picklist. Click next. Specify the label name as a relationship with primary holder. And we are going to enter values with each value separated by a new line. So these are the values of this field: mother, father, sibling, spouse, child, legal guardian, others. Move to step 3 and ensure that it is visible to all the users in the system, visible and editable by all the users in the system. Move to step 4, ensure that it is added to the layout of the policyholder object, and click Save. Now, since we've completed the prerequisite, we've introduced the field. This is the field relationship with primary holder, which is added to the policyholder layout. So this should be visible only when the holder of the policy is secondary, not primary. So how we can achieve dynamic functionality wherein we are dynamically controlling the visibility of the field? We can do so by upgrading the existing Lightning page to a dynamic form. And the steps are very, very simple. Top right, where you see setup. First of all, ensure that you have navigated to the policyholder record. So open any of the policyholder records. Top right, where you see the setup, the gear icon, click on it and click edit page. Now, in order to upgrade the Lightning page to a dynamic form, you can click on the details component, which is below details tab. So this component is what you are going to click on. And right hand side, you are going to find this option upgrade now. Now we'll click on upgrade now. And system is showing you information related to the dynamic capabilities of this particular tool. So basically, we can dynamically present fields and sections based on the criteria that we define. Click next and enable this checkbox, migrate fields and sections into an accordion component. Tile by tile it will be presented. And since we are pulling the information from the layout of the object, you have to select the layout. We are not making changes to the layout at all. We are just pulling the information so that we can customize that, hey, this one should be dynamically presented and these are the criteria. And click finish. Now, after upgrading it to a dynamic form, what you'll notice is every section is now a component. Every field now is a component that you can customize. You can control the UI behavior of the individual fields. For example, if policyholder name should be required, I can specify the UI behavior. Then any of the fields that I would like to, have as read only, I can again change the UI behavior of the fields. I can also make the fields required. Now, if I want to put a filter on this field, for example, relationship with primary holder should only be visible if is primary is unchecked. That means the holder of the policy is not primary. Then I'm going to click on this field, relationship with primary holder. Right inside, there is a filter button. We'll click on the filter button. And now you are going to specify the criteria based on which the visibility of this field will be controlled. So if is primary is false, that means it is unchecked, the holder of the policy is, secondary, then this field should be visible and the user should be able to populate the relationship with the primary holder. And as soon as you add a filter to it, you'll see an orange eye representing that it is dynamically controlled. Not only you can control individual field visibility via dynamic forms, you can also control the entire section visibility, as in the entire information section should only be presented if so and so criteria are met. So dynamic forms in Salesforce gives you the ability, the flexibility to control the behavior of not only the fields, but also the sections. And then you can also change the placement of the fields. Now this is dynamic form. Let's suppose we want to present dynamic related list against this record. The left hand side in the component library, I can type in dynamic, just type in the keyword dyn and drag and drop dynamic related list, place it above the activity component. Now the parent record is this policy holder, and which related record are we planning to present? So parent record, let's select contact. And on contact, the related list of policy holder. So whichever contact is selected as the parent contact, we are presenting all the policy holders against that parent contact in the form of dynamic related list. So parent record is contact and related list is policy holders. Now you can hit save and activate it. Again, assign it at the org level. And after saving the changes, navigate back. As you can see right inside, there is a dynamic related list. So against the parent contact Sona, there are 3 holders of the policy. Then since is primary is unchecked, I cannot see the field relationship with primary holder. If I navigate to another policy holder contact, for example, in this case, it's Sona's dad. Since is primary is unchecked, relationship with primary holder is visible, and the user can input the relationship with the primary holder of the policy. As soon as I mark it primary, is primary, the field is not visible on the layout.